Another week at Driftland Drift Garage. Got quite a busy week, quite a wide range of cars. This is pretty cool if you're into that sort of thing. So this week I am going to be working on the double ender, our twin engined, twin front ended Escort thing, and also Big Jamie's compact has been in for inspection. Needs a couple of things. Jamie's one of our gold patrons actually, so I'll give you a bit of chat about that at some point, I'm sure. That's about it for me. That actually keep me pretty busy, probably a couple of little jobs in between. So we've got Jackson's Fast and Furious Supra in. I originally came in to do Drift My Ride, and when the wheels would get changed over we noticed a few of the studs in the rear were damaged, so we recommended that they get replaced because it wasn't safe. They were only the wheels were only held on with like 3 nuts each, so we decided to go ahead and replace them for the customer. So Conceptua hooked us up again with 20mm extended rear studs, replaced them as well as put new nuts on with the studs and replaced the front studs. And upon replacing the front studs, noticed the studs were slightly cross-threaded as well, so we repaired them for the customer as well as it had bolt-on spacers. So yeah, that's the car all done now, and we'll get it back to the customer.
Look at the length of this thing. The double ender's got some length on her. I think that's the longest thing we've had on the 4-post ramp. Only just fits. What is good is that one of the engines is working mint. This takes me back to back in the day when I first started driving, and this is the sort of thing I used to run around in. There's a 1.3 overhead valve engine. This one was actually alright. We just stuck some plugs in it, gave a carb a wee clean, screwed the battery and fixed the exhaust, and it's pretty much good to go. Behold the power. You can probably hear that chapping noise. So these engines had a bit of a nickname when I was younger. We used to call these the chappers. So this would be a chapper and the other one the CVH. So yeah, as you can hear, chappy chap, 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 chap. Not particularly fast, not particularly anything really. Pretty good on fuel. That's about it. Pretty slow. Well, you know, there's 2 engines, so you only need 2 rubbish ones, makes a good one.
What are we doing? We are going to have a shot at this double-ended Escort.
With both ends working today.
Both ends, yeah.
And then we're going to see if it does the world's maddest WRC burner.
Yeah, I've been standing here for about half an hour and I've been trying to think of how it breaks my brain. I can't do it. I can't work. I don't know. We're just going to get in and see what happens.
Yeah, you just both go full down right and then nail it and see what happens.
Okay.
Both on full lock right, dump the clutch.
Another morning at Driftland. Man's not hot. Man is not hot. So this car that I'm just going up to work on just now, actually it's a first for us because the car belongs to a guy called Jamie. Jamie is one of our gold patrons. So if you're not familiar with patron, essentially, as I understand it, now bear in mind I've literally just googled this, so if you like what you see on our Driftland TV channel, and you know you're a fan of what we're doing and you want us to do more cool stuff, you can contribute. So there's various levels, from just sort of in for the fun, I think it's like £1, you know, bronze, gold, platinum, and you know all these different levels you get different things. So it enables us to continue to do all the cool videos that we're doing, you know, more so for the other Driftland TV stuff, because this sort of thing. Oh wow, it got dark in here. This is the tunnel of doom you have to go in. Well, that's like something out of a scary film. Anyway, so yeah, Jamie being a gold patron gives him first-hand access to videos. So all these videos like this one here that you see, it comes up on YouTube, he gets to see that before you do if you're not a patron. So yeah, it's a way for you guys, if you want to assist us, because making all these videos, it's not cheap. You know, the equipment alone, you know, this camera I'm holding here, this is, I don't know, £1,000 worth just in itself. So you know, it's not the cheapest. So any help that you're willing to give us would be great. So if you do fancy the idea of being a patron, if you go on patreon.com/Driftland, and then you'll see all the options there. Also, if you're a patron, then I will personally add you on Facebook as a friend. So there you go. So yeah, this Jamie's car here is the little red compact. So M52 compact. It's in with us because need a bit of maintenance. Gearbox mounts need done because somebody fitted them incorrectly. Don't really know how you manage that, but anyway. Gearbox mounts, the SLR kit. So this car runs a SLR steering kit, which is one of my preferred kits for the E36. Really good kit, but I think Jamie fitted it himself and he's not quite got it set up right, so he was complaining the car was a bit snatchy. So we're going to change the steering rack, and then I'm going to set the SLR up, and then I'll do a bit of alignment, set up camber, caster, and toe in the front, and try and get it handling the way it should. So this is part of the SLR steering kit here. This adapter block bolts in between the hub and the bottom arm. You also got a spherical bearing inset for the bottom arm here. These kits are really good. They give you more steering lock, they also give you quicker steering, and you also get roll centre correction because of the block here. So you know, it's not just a steering angle kit, it does quite a few things. Kit works really well. I think Jamie fitted this himself, and he just didn't quite have the setup right. We've been fitting SLR kits for years, so we're familiar with exactly what you need to get them to work properly. So these kits have adjustment in them, so you can adjust the Ackerman. The Ackerman adjustment is done by using this guy here, and then on the SLR block there's a slot, and then there's a couple of holes, and depending on where you position the pins on this little cone into the block, that determines the Ackerman setting. So you can go anything from normal Ackerman right up to parallel steer. Parallel steer is actually how this car was set up. Me personally, over the years, I'm not a fan of parallel steer. A lot of drifters do use it, but it's not something that we set a car up to have. We go with the fast road / drift setting, which is sort of one off the most extreme setting available on the block, and we find that gives the nicest steering, nicest feedback, really linear from lock to lock. There's no tight spots, no vagueness. Yeah, just generally, you know, you can use absolutely every degree of lock with no problems. Really smooth, really easy to drive, and very predictable as well. So I'm going to adjust the position of this, and then we'll put the steering arm back on, and then I'm going to need to play about with the settings, camber and toe, and try and get the car handling as it should.
90% of the work completed on Jamie's car today. So we've got these nice BC true rear coilovers, which Jamie dropped off for us. I've just stuck them on, and then when you get something like this, it's always a good idea to loop the threads up. Some coilovers, when you buy them, HSDs for example, they'll come with some lubricant, but we generally use copper grease. So as soon as we get them, strip them down, take all the rings off, lubricate them all up, and then build them all back up again, and then set the preload on the spring. So essentially you want to set how much load you're putting on this spring here, which affects the handle of the car. So set the preload here, and then set the ride height. That takes a bit of estimation, and you've got to put the car down, check the ride height, put it back up and adjust it to suit. So we've got the ride height sitting pretty much the same as it was when it came in. It's all buttoned down, topped up, white lined, good to go. You also see some new exhaust rubbers on there, some Powerflex ones. We actually use these quite a lot. They're much stronger than the standard rubber sort of
ones that you would normally use. They don't stretch as much as well, they're pretty tough and they take a bit of a pounding, so yeah, we use them quite a lot. So we've got them on. Other than that, all the steering system's fixed. We've got the SLR set up how we like it. So this car actually runs a fair bit of camber. It's running about 6 degrees of front camber at the moment, which is more than I would normally set up a car to have on an E36, especially this setup. But I'm going to leave it at that just now and see, because it's always a trade-off between handling and fitment. So we'll do a little test drive and we'll see how it goes. So we're running zero toe, and the caster actually, again, not normally how I would set these up. Normally we would run the eccentric caster bushes on the rear of the lollipop, just give you a little bit more caster, which takes it out to the M3 caster, which I think is 7.2 degrees, something like that, maybe 7.5, I can't remember off the top of my head. But that's ideal caster to get the SLR to work. So the SLR kit, 0 degree toe, about 7.2, 7.5 on caster, and camber ideally somewhere between 2.5 and 3.5, up to 4. Like I said, this is running 6. We'll see how it goes. I think it'll still be alright, because you can usually get away with a little bit more. You can run up to 7 degrees and it'll still handle. But the good thing about E36 is even when it's set up terribly, it still drifts really well. But you know, there's obviously a lot of potential to unlock. So I'm going to stick some of our wheels in the back, so whenever we're doing the testing, we're not going to ruin Jamie's nice tyres, we're going to ruin our own. So these little 15s will go on, we'll get them stuck on the car, take down the track, and then do the best bit of the job, which is the test drive. It's also got the lowest, widest, furthest back seat I think I've ever seen. So test driving this should be interesting.
This, as you can see, is the benefit of having your own track. Let's see how the car went. Well, how was that?
It was good. Yeah, really good car.
It looked really capable.
Well done, Jamie, mate. You've put together a really nice car. You know, the car's got a good spec. SLR kit, now I've changed it, works really well. Steering so predictable, really smooth. Very little effort as well, you know, you can just let go, let it just slide. It's got the BCs front and rear as well, so it handles really nice.
True rear coilovers as well,
yeah,
isn't it?
True rear clutch, we've just fitted true rear coilovers in the back. Yeah, poly bushes and stuff, the hydro works good. M52, which I think has got the light flywheel in it, and it's a really strong M52 as well, pulls like a train. I think it's probably got a 4.4 diff in it, it feels like it, because it was hooking fourth here, and it was doing the full infield in fourth and then just dropping the third a little bit. So yeah, really good little compact, and yeah, loved it, it's good fun.
Cheers, mate. Well done, Jamie. Quite the car.